What happens when success rewrites memory and pride blinds you to the past? When the person you once studied beside now stands across from you holding a notepad? And when one moment forces you to face the kind of man you've become? The restaurant was louder than it looked. Not with noise, but with confidence. Expensive laughter, slow movements. The kind of place where people expected to be recognized. He walked in without looking around much. He didn't need to. The staff already knew who he was. He took his seat and opened the menu, barely glancing at it. He was used to ordering without reading. That's when she approached the table. "Good evening," she said. "Can I start you with something to drink?" He looked up, ready to speak, then stopped. For a second, he thought his mind was playing tricks on him. Same eyes, same voice. Older, yes. Tired, maybe, but unmistakable. "Emily?" he said slowly. She froze, just for a moment. Then her face softened into a polite smile. "Hello," she said. "What can I get you?" He laughed under his breath. "It's me," he said. "From college, economics class. We used to sit in the back and complain about exams." She nodded. "I remember." There was something in her tone that made him uneasy. Not bitterness, distance. "So," he said, leaning back, "you're working here now?" "Yes," she replied simply. He glanced around the room, the chandeliers, the tailored suits, then back at her uniform. "I never thought—" He stopped himself, then smiled. "Life takes strange turns, right?" She didn't smile back. "It does," she said. An awkward silence followed. He broke it quickly. "Well, bring me the house special," he said. "Surprise me." She wrote it down and turned to leave. As she walked away, he watched her longer than he meant to. Something about the way she carried herself didn't fit the picture he had already formed in his mind. And without realizing it, he had already made his first mistake. She didn't come back right away. When she did, she placed the drink down gently and asked if he needed anything else. Her voice was steady, professional, like the past hadn't just walked into the room and sat down. "You don't have to act like we're strangers," she said. "We shared notes, group projects. Remember that late night before finals?" "I remember college. I'm at work now." That line landed softer than an insult, but it stayed. He nodded, pretending not to notice. "I just mean, I always thought you'd end up somewhere big," he said. "You were smarter than most of us." She met his eyes briefly. "I did end up somewhere big, just not somewhere you'd recognize." He frowned. "What happened?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "That's not part of the menu." He smiled, a little embarrassed. "Right, sorry, old habits." When she walked away again, he leaned back and stared at the ceiling. The image he carried of her, the ambitious girl with plans and confidence, didn't fit the picture he had already formed in his mind, and that bothered him. When she returned with the food, he said, "I could help, you know." She paused. "Help with what?" "Anything," he said quickly. "A job, an introduction. I've got connections. You shouldn't be stuck." She placed the plate down carefully. "I'm not stuck," she said. "You're assuming. That's worse." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "I didn't mean it like that." "I know. That's the problem." He watched her walk away for the third time, this time feeling something new. Not pride, not pity, uncertainty. For the first time that night, he wondered if success had taught him the wrong lessons, and whether the help he was so ready to offer was really about her, or about easing something uncomfortable inside himself. He paid the check early, left a tip that was meant to speak for him, then stayed seated longer than he needed to. When Emily came to collect the receipt, she glanced at the amount and looked up. "You don't have to do this," she said. "I know. I wanted to." She nodded once. No thank you, no reaction. That unsettled him more than if she had refused it. "Can I ask you something?" She hesitated. "One question." "Are you happy?" he asked. She considered it, not quickly. "I'm honest," she said. That came first. He didn't know how to respond to that. "I used to think happiness came after success, money, titles, proof." "And did it?" she asked. The question caught him off guard. He looked around the room, at people laughing, at phones lighting up, at glasses half full. It made things easier, not quieter. She nodded. That's what I learned too. He leaned forward. I don't owe you your story, he said, but I'd like to understand. She folded her hands. After college, my mother got sick. I left my first job to help. Then she passed. I tried to go back, but the gap followed me everywhere. So I took what work I could, learned how to stand on my feet again. And now? He asked. Now I'm studying again, nights, slowly, on my terms. That surprised him. Why here? Because it pays my bills and leaves my mind free. I don't need my job to be my identity. He sat back, feeling something shift. All the years he spent chasing a version of himself that looked impressive from the outside suddenly felt thin. If you ever want help, he said again, softer this time. The right kind. She met his eyes. Then listen, she said. That's enough for tonight. She walked away, leaving him alone with a plate that had gone cold and a thought that wouldn't. He came in believing he had outgrown the past. Instead, it was quietly catching up to him. He didn't leave right away. That surprised even him. He sat there until the restaurant began to thin, until the confidence in the room softened into tired conversations and half-finished glasses. When Emily passed his table again, he stood. Can I walk you out? He asked, not as an offer, as a request. She studied him for a moment, then nodded. Outside, the night air felt cooler than it should have. They stood there, two people who once shared dreams on a campus bench, now separated by years neither of them fully understood. You didn't do anything wrong tonight, he said, but I did. She tilted her head slightly. You noticed, she said. That's something. I used to think becoming someone meant leaving everyone else behind. Turns out, I just stopped seeing them. She looked at the street, then back at him. Success doesn't change who we are. It just gives us more room to be honest about it. He nodded slowly. I don't want to be the kind of person who only helps when it makes him feel better. I want to do better than that. She considered his words, then spoke carefully. Then don't rescue. Respect. That stayed with him. The next morning, he canceled 3 meetings and sat alone in his office longer than he had in years. He thought about the people he had stepped over without noticing, about the version of himself he had polished so well that it no longer felt real. By noon, he made a decision that surprised his own team. He set up a fund, not in his name, no press, no announcements, a quiet program that paid for education gaps, for people who had paused their lives for reasons no resume ever explained. He asked Emily to review it, not to lead it, to challenge it. She agreed, on one condition. No speeches, she said. Let the work speak. Months later, he returned to the restaurant, this time as a regular. He ordered like everyone else. Emily was still there some nights, studying on others. When she did serve his table, they talked like equals. No past hanging between them, no imbalance to correct. He'd walked in that first night thinking he had everything figured out. Walking out months later, he understood what actually changed everything. It wasn't what he did for her. It was what he finally learned to do differently for everyone else.